NosillaCast live button, right?
The
Wait,
go live button.
I think you just did it.
No? Oh, I did.
Oh, I
No,
did
I
it.
didn't.
Oh,
Oh,
shoot.
you did
I
it.
bumped it with my finger.
Well,
I was
okay.
moving
We went,
the iPad. Well, I guess we're live.
went live a little prematurely there. That's okay.
All right. Sorry
Okay,
about that, everybody. Didn't mean to scare you.
I'm going to take
What's
your
wrong?
your volume down on Discord because I have a nice app that allows me to do that.
All right. So it is time for roll call, as Alan has suggested to us earlier. There we go. Good job. Thank you, Alan. We have Alan and Mike and Kevin and Jason and Jill and Lindsay, the daughter, and John and Rose. And, Richard from Alaska is here. You haven't been here in a long time. And Rick and Sandy and Steve and Michael. And I believe I saw Wheels in the house. And we've got some John there in both sidebars. Yeah. Is that everybody?
It looks like it. John, or not, Richard from Alaska. Are you a ham operator, AL6T? That's a short ham designator, if that's true. I don't know if they come in 4 digits.
And why do you think it's a ham thing?
Well, I've seen them as low as 5, but I hear the earlier licensed people got very short ones.
Huh.
Yes, ham operator. And AL6T is your handle, I trust?
Wow.
Man, that's tiny. Cool. Mine's 6 digits, so I'm like a newbie.
Do you remember anything you learned in class?
Yeah, a few things. Not all of them.
All right. Social Security number 666. All right. Well, we got a lot to do here, so
Yes.
I am going to get us started right away. All right. I'm going to mute Steve if you're done
Yep.
jibber jabbering there, dear.
Mute me.
All right. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, March 14th, 2021, and this is show number 827. Well, before we get started, I'd like to give a little shout out to Steve because this week was our 38th wedding anniversary. I am still amazed every single day that he chose me. Oh, that was mushy. Can you guys see my flowers?
That wasn't even in your show notes.
I know. I uploaded them for you, and then I added it after the fact.
You surprised me there, Podfeet.
Mm-hmm. Pretty
Nice.
wild. Pretty crazy.
Nice little Easter egg. When I go listen to it later. You know how I do that? How I listen to the show later?
Uh-huh. Yeah. You totally do that.
So mushy, Lindsay says.
Sorry,
So-
Lindsay, that you had to see that.
For those of you who might have come late, I apologize here for the clashing of our red shirts. I know that's hard on the eyes, but we just didn't coordinate well today.
We're both red shirts.
Yeah.
That's scary by itself, right?
Get a room.
All right, muting Steve. Oh, actually, before I do that, Steve is in the doghouse right now.
Why?
Because he took a hearing test and he has no hearing loss. So I was forgiving him a lot of stuff because I thought he had hearing loss.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Well, it could still develop.
Lindsay says,
Probably
I
will.
hope you don't get killed off in this episode. All right, muting Steve. Wait, nope. Chapter mark first. Where are you? There we go. Here. And copy link. Copy that. Okay, 1. Here we go. In the last Chit Chat Across the Pond Light, Lindsay Tondi made her debut appearance where we talked about working from home. After the show published, Alistair Jenks wrote to me and told me that halfway through listening to that episode, he had to stop listening and start writing down notes for a recording he was going to have to make talking about his views on the same subject. Well, I forwarded Alistair's message to Lindsay, and then I connected the two of them, and before I knew what was happening, they had decided that we were going to do a 3-way chit-chat across the pond. Alistair comes from a completely different perspective as someone who's worked far from his team for many years. We talk about what works and what doesn't for him in his capacity doing IT support from a technology perspective, and even from a how to stop people from asking you questions they could actually find answers for on their own perspective. Hope you guys will give Chit Chat Across the Pond a listen. You can find it in your podcatcher of choice, and of course, there's a link in the show notes. There we go. Okay, number 2 coming in.
Here we go. Kevin's on it.
Spam, 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 spam. I didn't hear a second beep. Why was that? What did I do wrong? Okay. Copy link. Whoop. I bet I screwed it up.
Yeah.
No, I didn't screw it up. But it turns out you can hit the wrong keystroke in between. I hit Command C and then I hit Command V instead of Command C.
That'll do it.
Well, no, it didn't. It didn't break it, which is crazy. All right.
So Frank wants to know if Lindsay's replacing you.
I can never fulfill that many words in a week. I didn't start with it this long when I started. All right, here we go. Muting Steve. Two weeks ago, I told you about an incredibly powerful and yet surprisingly inexpensive screencasting app called Screenium. I walked you through the features to explain the capabilities, but I also explained that this tool is far too powerful to explain in text how to make a screencast with Screenium. I told you that in short order, the first of 2 video tutorials would be posted to the subscription-based tutorial service Screencast Online. The first tutorial, entitled Screenium 3 Basics, is now published on Screencast Online. After watching the basics tutorial, you'll understand how to configure things like your microphone and your camera, and how to record your Mac screen and even an iOS device. You'll learn how to create compositions and work with the timeline editor to split tracks, add transitions, add chapter marks, and execute other non-destructive editing, and how to export your masterpiece. The even better news is that since I was already on a roll with Screenium and I had mind mapped most of the application already, I started working on the advanced tutorial for Screenium as soon as I was done with the basics tutorial. The advanced tutorial is in the Screencast Online pipeline to come out in about 2 weeks, barring any unforeseen changes to the schedule. I'm very proud of these two tutorials. Screenium is a great tool, but much of the interface is unusual, so it took a lot of work to learn the tool well and to be able to understand the intricacies of it. That's the real value add, I should say, of Screencast Online tutorials. If you're not already a member, you can get a free 7-day trial, but remember that you have a good chance of getting hooked on the service because you get access to the entire back catalog. Now, another option is to subscribe to the Screencast Online magazine, which gives you articles by tech luminaries, as well as all of the video tutorials for the month. You have to wait a bit longer to get the video tutorials, but it's a really great way to consume the Screencast Online goodness. Oh, and if you do subscribe to the video service, you get the magazine along with it for no extra cost.
Cool.
Alrighty.
I posted a link to your introduction as well in the chat room.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You know what? That's probably not the link I would give them.
Okay. You want me to take it out?
The link I would give them is this one. That one is the embed link.
Okay.
So if you send them that one, then they can go right into Screencast Online. All right. And I need to
Don owns
refresh
us
this.
all.
What's that? Don owns us all. Yep. All right. What's up next? Oh.
N-Pro. N-Pro ear hooks.
N-Pro? Charge N-Pro, you mean?
Oh, I didn't see the charge part. N-Pro.
What?
There was a weird line feed.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Muting Steve. Come on. I told you a while ago that I took Frank's advice recently and I got the Chargen Pro Airfoams Pro ear tips, which dramatically improved the sound and sealing of the headphones in my ears, and that they also stayed in my ears much better than Apple's original ear tips. When Frank heard my review, he posted in Slack that I should now try listening to the Tom Hanks movie Greyhound on Apple TV so that I could truly experience this spatial audio everyone is all excited about. I tried it before, but my reaction was kind of, meh. But with the Chargen Pro ear tips, I finally got why people are losing their minds about this spatial audio thing. If you haven't heard it yourself, spatial audio means that no matter where you turn your head, the sound continues to emanate from the source, say an Apple TV or your iPhone. It's actually pretty freaky. And by the way, you don't have to listen to some high-end audio like watching Greyhound on Apple TV Plus, because it turns out I'm pretty sure everything works that way. I was watching the Mary Tyler Moore Show, which was in the early 70s, and it was on, I'm thinking Hulu, and it definitely was doing spatial audio, so I'm not quite sure how that was happening. Anyway, after our 2 reviews, Frank's and mine, went live, I heard back from a few listeners who said they'd received their ear tips from Chargen Pro, and they arrived with a little note explaining that Chargen Pro is a tiny company. It turns out Charlie plus Jennifer equals Chargen. Isn't that adorable? In the note, they quite nicely suggested that a review on Amazon would go a long way towards advancing their company. Well, I bought my Chargen Pro ear tips directly from Chargen Pro, which meant I couldn't write an Amazon review for them. So instead, I sent them a link to my review so they could see I helped their cause in a different way. Instead of a simple thanks, Charlie did something even better. He pointed out that while I wrote my review about the Chargen Pro Active ear tips, I had actually purchased the original Chargen Pro ear tips, not the Actives. He sent me a set of the Actives and their $15 Airfoams Pro detachable ear hooks for AirPods Pro. Unfortunately, while the Actives are the most comfortable ear tips I've ever worn, they sadly just didn't stay in my particular ear holes. I was bummed because they were so soft and flexible. I could barely tell they were in my ears. Until they weren't, because they kept falling out. Luckily, I had mistakenly bought the Pro Originals instead of the Pro Actives. Now, I loaned Steve my headphones the other day, and the Pro Actives did fit in his ears. So this is one of those things where you just got to try them and see which ones work for you. But anyway, let's shift gears and talk about the Chargen Pro ear hooks that Charlie sent me. Ages ago, Pat Dingler tried to talk me into trying any brand of ear hook because she was so weary of hearing me swearing into my phone when my AirPods Pro would fall out when I was on a call with her. I immediately dismissed the idea of any kind of ear hook because I knew it would be a pain in the backside to take them on and off every time I charged my AirPods Pro to be able to fit them in the case. I'm a habit-driven person, and my habit here is that I always charge the case whenever I take my AirPods Pro out of the case. So I'd have to do this dance literally every single time I used the AirPods Pro. In the years that Pat has been hearing me say non-Girl Scout safe words every time I knock my AirPods out of my ears while talking to her, it's gotten much worse in the last year. I'm betting you can guess why. I call her on my long outdoor walks, and I'm constantly putting on my mask and taking it off. I've got a 62.3% success rate taking the mask off without catching one AirPod stem or the other and knocking it out of my ear. Since Charlie was so nice to comp me the $15 Airfoams Pro ear hooks, I figured I might as well give them a try. The Airfoams Pro ear hooks come with 2 rubbery, flexible sets, one white and one translucent. It's surprisingly easy to put the Chargen Pro ear hooks onto the AirPods once you get the hang of it. The hard part, for me at least, is to figure out which one goes on the left side and which one goes on the right. There are holes of different shapes in the rubber ear hooks, so as you tug them onto the AirPods, you're meant to line these holes up with the matching black sensor areas on the AirPods. That's actually helpful because if you have the holes lined up correctly, then the ear hooks will be correctly aligned to actually stick in your ear. Now, maybe it's just me, but even without messing around with the ear hooks, I can't tell the left AirPod Pro from the right. However, with the translucent version of the Chargen Pro ear hooks, it actually magnifies and kind of highlights the letter R and L on the AirPods Pro. That was kind of a nice treat. Kind of a little bonus prize to help me get them into the correct ear after I put the ear hooks onto them. Now, my one trick for speeding up putting on ear hooks is that I always put them in the box in the same way, with the left one on the left and the right one on the right. I found a spot for the box that's always in the same place and doesn't get moved around. If I couldn't do that, I think I'd put a red dot with some nail polish on one of them. Once I stopped having trouble trying to put the wrong one on the wrong AirPod, I found that it takes me maybe an extra minute, maybe a minute and a half now, probably not even that, to get ready for my walks to put them on. My walks are 30 minutes at the very shortest, so that's a pretty small investment to clean up my language when talking to Pat and to minimize the probability of dropping an AirPod down a storm drain. I've been using the Airphones Pro ear hooks on every walk for the last 2 weeks, and only once in all that time have I flipped an AirPod out of my ear pulling my mask off. And Pat's delicate sensibilities are no longer subject to my sailor-level epithets. Now, I wouldn't call these life-changing, but I'm hooked on the Chargin Pro ear hooks, and like I said, for $15, they're a great way to keep my AirPods Pro in my ears. If you do go check out the ear tips or ear hooks made by Chargin, do take a gander at all of the other nifty products they sell. They've got several really interesting USB-C hubs. They've got 2 stands for iPhone and iPad that are not out just yet, and they've got a hub for Windows Surface Go. The designs are really elegant. They look like they solve some real problems. Like I said, the charging stand for iPhone and iPad for iPhone and iPad is simply gorgeous. And I said that wrong. They're 2 different stands. The charging stand for iPhone and the charging stand for iPad they're both simply gorgeous, and they're definitely going on my birthday wish. Both the iPhone and iPad stands are about to go into a Kickstarter, but for $1, you can reserve a spot to get $25 off when they do come out. I went ahead and gave them $1. Why not? Okay.
So I think you got a typo in there.
Actually, no. I got to re-record that. It says stand... iPhone and AirPods.
Right. Is that what you meant?
Yes.
But later it says iPhone and iPad in the second sentence right after it.
So they've got a stand. They've got a charging stand for iPhone and AirPods. And they've got a stand. I should go look.
But it says both the iPhone and iPad stands, like you're referring to what you just said.
I think it's just poorly written.
Clearly.
So the iPhone charger. I got to go look at it. Now I've got myself confused.
We're in a quandary. All right. Little sausage, folks. Bear with us.
Somebody could have just looked it up for me.
Oh, you want me to?
No, too late. So, products. So the MagFlot is the thing.
They have cute little words for things, don't they?
Yeah. Okay. This is it. Yeah.
So all of these are on Kickstarter?
Oh, interesting. I didn't notice here. I'm going to send you a link here. You'll see next to the $1, it says, this $1 reservation is to hold your spot for our exclusive discount. That's pretty obvious, right? In the link I just sent? The bright blue $1 reservation. That was not bright blue when I first saw it, and I wrote to him and said, "Why is this $1? Is that a typo?"
I see. Got it.
They've got several really interesting USB-C hubs. I'm going to stop it there. Okay. Muting Steve. They've got several really interesting looking USB-C hubs and a hub for the Windows Surface Go. They've got a stand for the iPhone that's actually a charging stand with a spot to charge your AirPods Pro or your AirPods at the same time. And they've got an iPad stand. Now, both of these stands are right now about to go into Kickstarter. But they're first of all, they're really, really gorgeous. So I put the phone one definitely on my birthday list. But if you give them $1, you can reserve a spot in the Kickstarter to get 25% off when they do come out. I realize that's kind of like fixing to make a plan that it's $1 to be in the queue of the Kickstarter when they do the Kickstarter, and they haven't even done the Kickstarter yet. But the product looks really, really beautiful. I'm excited about it.
Okay, makes note that this is now on Allison's birthday list. That's the first I heard of it.
You can't really buy it. No, you can't buy it.
You reserved it?
Yeah.
So I can't.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
How about when they come, I give them to you?
That'd be perfect. Well, you tried to give me a present already. Ooh, let's talk about government regulations next.
Oh, goody. Nice.
Man,
everyone wants to hear about government regulations.
The title is Section 508 is more interesting than you think. Nap time. I think this is a fun story. Where is it? Where's the Section 508 one? There it is. There we go. All right. Save? I should save. Have I saved lately? I don't think I have.
Nope.
No. Muting Steve. Nope. That's not what I meant to do. Sorry. One of my favorite conferences of the year is the CSUN Assistive Tech Conference. Steve and I were really on the fence whether to attend last year in person. We pulled out at the last minute as all of our friends' companies had canceled their chips. Okay, not chips. Jeez. Trips. One of my favorite conferences of the year is the CSUN Assistive Tech Conference. Steve and I were really on the fence whether to attend last year in person, and we pulled out at the last minute as all of our friends' companies had canceled their trips. In retrospect, of course, I'm very glad we didn't go last year. This is the first time CSUN has held the conference virtually, and I think they did a really good job. The conference has a fairly standard format with some pre-conference workshops that you can pay for, tons of individual presentation sessions, and an exhibit hall. The conference is only $425 for 4 days, which is really inexpensive. The exhibit hall is actually free. So if you're ever in the Southern California area this time next year, you might want to stop by because the exhibit hall is really good fun. In the past, Steve and I have just gone down for 1 day and covered the exhibit hall, but this year I've been trying to attend some sessions as well. In a way, being virtual allows me to see many more sessions than I normally would. I have to confess that I didn't figure that out right away. Partway through the conference, I went back and I looked at the sessions and I realized that everything that had been shown earlier was available because they were all pre-recorded. Instead of having to choose between concurrent sessions and always feeling like I might have missed the better one, potentially I could see all of them. The other advantage of this is that I could start watching a session, and if I realized it wasn't of interest to me, I could bail without hurting the presenter's feelings. I was also able to fast forward to where the good part started. In a few cases where the presentations were really good, I went back and I watched the front material. The only downside of this is that now I have no excuse for not watching more presentations. Today I'd like to tell you about 2 presentations about Section 508. I'll explain what that is and the 2 different angles to the same topic. In 1998, Congress amended the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 to require federal agencies to make their electronic and information technology accessible to people with disabilities. This is commonly referred to as Section 508. I attended a panel presentation entitled Accessibility in the Federal Workspace in COVID Times. They started out by explaining that the federal government is the largest employer in the United States with 9 million people currently working for the government. They talked about the changes that took place for people who require assistive technology when they were sent home to work. They first explained that there are actually many benefits of telework for accessibility. For example, not having to travel is a great benefit. Eliminates the need to make special requests for a wheelchair accessible vehicle. It means no navigation problems for the visually impaired. In addition, if you work from your own home, you can personalize your own environment to fit your own needs. You can have your volume cranked up and not bother coworkers if you have hearing impairments. You have the flexibility to move your monitor super close if you're low vision. If hosts of meetings send their presentations ahead of time, you can open them in your own accessible environment. With larger online meetings, people use the raise your hand function, which makes for a more orderly conversation for everyone, but also makes the sign language interpreter's job much easier. Now, it wasn't all roses for accessibility when workers in the federal government started working from home, I should say. The government, like many companies, relies on Microsoft Teams. Kathy Eng explained that they have a 508 listserv. If you don't know what that is, it's like a discussion forum, and it lit up with issues when people began working from home. Since the government is such a large employer, they had leverage to bring Microsoft in to start fixing their problems. Ms. Eng was very complimentary about Microsoft's response, both in how rapidly they fixed things and also in how willing they were to get things working better from an accessibility standpoint. She didn't give a lot of examples, but one she did highlight was that by default there was a video limitation that didn't allow people to view the speaker presentation and the sign language interpreter at the same time. Microsoft immediately removed that restriction and fixed the problem. The presenters then switched gears and started talking very specifically about Section 508 and how the government attacked the problem of ensuring that all of their own websites and mobile tools are fully accessible. I've worked to ensure podfeed.com is accessible, and even for a very simplistic blog-based site like mine, that took a lot of time. Ms. Eng explained that manual testing for accessibility is a very slow process, while automated testing is fast but limited in its success. A hybrid approach makes sense, but even then there are challenges because it's difficult to understand exactly what is required to make a website be accessible. In order to combat the ambiguity, the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, has created the Information and Communication Technology Testing Baseline. You're going to love this part. Section 508 ACT Testing Baseline is an open source GitHub project. How cool is that? But just having these guidelines clarified wasn't enough. They created a rigorous training program, and if you pass the training, you can get certified as a trusted tester. Now, I'm just spitballing here, but it sounds to me like that would be a highly valued certification if someone out there listening is looking for a job. All of the training to become a trusted tester is available online, and it's free. The other piece of the puzzle was to create a tool to assist the trusted testers in evaluating websites. The tool they developed is called ANDI, A-N-D-I, which stands for Accessible Name and Description Inspector. It's a web browser bookmarklet, and it runs on Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Firefox, Safari, and even Internet Explorer. I kind of like saying even Internet Explorer after all the years it was always all about Internet Explorer. But anyway, you know I couldn't resist the temptation to install ANDI myself and give it a go. I'm going to describe my experience with ANDI in a separate article, though, so let's keep going with the CSUN presentations about Section 508. Now, I know talking about government regulations isn't normally something to get excited about, but I really find the subject fascinating, and anything I can do to improve the accessibility of the web is going to be high on my list. The second presentation I attended that focused on Section 508 was even more interesting. It was given by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence with representatives from the NSA, the National Security Agency, and the Defense Intelligence Agency. This presentation highlighted something that really surprised me. While Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 forms the cornerstone of government information technology inclusion efforts, it turns out the Rehabilitation Act provides a national security exemption from compliance for military command and control, weaponry, intelligence, and cytological information technology systems. In other words, they can simply say, "Whoa, this is national intelligence, so we don't have to make our stuff accessible." But here's the cool part. Michael Waschel, Acting Intelligence Community Chief Information Officer and Deputy Intelligence Communication Chief Information Officer, explained that they decided that wasn't really a strategy for success to just keep using that exemption. I wish I had transcribed his words more carefully because he was eloquent and impassioned in his delivery of this message. He said that if you're not allowing a diverse workforce, you can easily get into groupthink. Groupthink leads to a reduction in knowledge, In the intelligence community, they simply can't risk making those kinds of mistakes. One of the biggest things I learned as head of our diversity council in my job was that diversity and inclusion are not about being nice and helping people who are unfortunate. It's about strengthening your workforce and increasing your competitive advantage. Once you get that, you become an impassioned supporter of diversity of all kinds, including accessibility. Mr. Waschel went on to explain that it is possible to exercise the exemption from Section 508, but you have to apply for it to the Director of National Intelligence. I interpreted that as you better have a really good case before you even think about trying to get an exemption. Next, Dr. Paula Briscoe. I think something just happened. You just lost my audio, didn't you? Can you guys hear me? That's interesting. I can't hear Steve. Can you hear Steve? I just lost Steve and Mimo live. Oh, no Steve. It's Steve who's gone. Okay.
I was muted.
So I heard a sound and all of a sudden...
No, I was muted. My mic was muted.
No, but my screen changed and a bunch of stuff changed position.
Really?
Oh! I wonder if that's that... Oh, you know what that...
What was it?
I was playing with a Keyboard Maestro macro, and I set it to run right before the show, but I meant to say 4:30, and I said 5:30. So the reason everything moved and I heard a sound was that was the end of my macro running.
Okay.
Change time to 4:30. Okay, that's pretty funny.
But I had muted my mic.
But yeah, the fact that you had muted yourself made me think that something had actually gone wrong. Let me see where I was. Mr. Waschel. Mr. Waschel. There we go. Okay, good. Glad nothing went wrong. Mr. Waschel went on to explain that it is possible to exercise the exemption from Section... Mr. Waschel went on to explain that it is possible to exercise the exemption from Section 508, but you have to apply for it to the Director of National Intelligence. I interpreted this as you better have a really good case before you even think about trying to get an exemption. Next, Dr. Paula Briscoe, Senior Executive Management Officer at the Office of National Intelligence, described her experience working in the intelligence community. She's been legally blind since birth, and so came into the office knowing the accommodations she needed. Back when she came in, the DNI assigned an individual to help her acquire and install her tools. Today, she said they ask instead, what tasks are you trying to accomplish, instead of what tools do you need to use? And she's not certain that is a better approach. Now, to me, it sounded a lot like, what problem were you trying to solve? So I was curious why she didn't think that was the right approach. She went on to explain that it's important to listen to the person who's telling you what tech they think would be helpful, because they're actually the subject matter expert. Phooey. It's not going to work. She went on to explain that it's important to listen to the person who's telling you what tech they think would be helpful, because they're actually the subject matter expert. This is a good point because, all types of vision impairments are not the same. All types of mobility issues are not the same. All types of cognitive issues are different, and all types of hearing impairments are not identical. Dr. Briscoe said she wasn't paid to say this, but that she has never once felt that her disability ever held her back working at the agency. She started as a junior GS, which I looked up. It stands for General Schedule. Gotta love the government. Anyway, she started as a junior GS, and she's now a senior executive. Her enthusiasm for the work she's been able to do at the DNI was really infectious. But her enthusiasm was nothing compared to that of Daniel Hetrick, NSA Information Communication Technology Accessibility Team Lead at the Department of Chief Information Officer National Security Agency. Man, they got long titles there. Anyway, this guy was on fire about his job. He explained that he started as a co-op at the NSA, and 20 years after he started, he had a stroke that, as he described, took out his left side. I knew about Section 508 before hearing him talk, but he talked about 2 executive orders that really drove change for accessibility in the government. Executive Order 13163 by President Clinton in July of 2000 was an order to promote an increase in the opportunities for individuals with disabilities, which from my reading had some cool stuff in it, but not a lot of detail, not a lot of teeth in it about how to achieve the lofty goal it described of hiring 100,000 qualified individuals with disabilities into the federal government. Apparently, President Obama felt the same way, that it didn't have a lot of teeth, because he issued Executive Order 13548 in July of 2010, and that put teeth behind the goal. It called for, with delivery dates, model recruitment and hiring strategies, specific plans to follow those strategies, and that every agency would have to designate a senior level executive to be accountable for meeting the goals of the order. Now we had some real teeth into the vision put forward by the Clinton administration. Well, the reason Mr. Hetrick brought up the 100,000 person goal for the government was that suddenly there was this massive influx of employees with accessible tech needs. He described the changes he saw in government as the entire strategy had to change. He also emphasized that these changes included holding contractors accountable for accessibility, and by putting language in their contracts that specifically said they will not accept deliverables that don't meet their requirements for accessibility. Now, you can see how this top-down strategy caused real change across the government and then across the technology landscape to all tools. Now, if you create a tool, you certainly would want the largest employer in the United States to be able to buy it, wouldn't you? Well, Mr. Hetrick spoke with noticeable glee about how it was nothing short of a miracle to get all of these organizations to understand why having accessible tools is so critical. He said that he's thrilled to go to work every day to see the progress happening, and that he feels like he's watching the last piece of a giant puzzle finally falling into place. I realized at the end that for the community of people with assistive tech needs, this presentation was the best recruiting video I've ever seen. Whew. I may not get to my last article.
Something did change. We're now getting lag between your audio and video. And I think it may be related to the whatever happened at 5:30. And I got a warning: configuration of the selected audio device, built-in output changed. That's how I'm monitoring things. So did that script you have running at 5:30, does it change your any of your audio settings or?
No, it turns off Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi stayed off, so it didn't toggle that on. Do you want me to try turning off those 3, like Hindi and my audio? I turn them off, toggle them off and back on?
Yeah.
Okay,
because it's pretty laggy right now.
Okay, they're back on. How is it now?
Still a delay.
1. That is a big delay. Let's see. There's stuff that isn't normally showing. That's still going.
John is hearing ticking sounds when I talk. That must be over on Discord, John. Or is that on YouTube?
Talk some more, Steve. Let me listen.
Do you hear ticking sounds, Allison?
I do not.
For when I talk? Oh, he said Discord, but it stopped. Okay.
John, look around for an alligator.
Oh, you
Mr.
may have
Ed's here.
I think you synced up again.
Did I?
Yeah. Maybe it's while Hindenburg is recording, because it's fine now.
Yeah, we've seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Hello, Ed.
Ed. All right. Oh, no
We're
chapter
coming up
mark. Time for
the
pledge
first.
break.
Everything is fiddly, or you?
Now I'm going to do a pledge break first. Okay, here goes. No chapter mark. One of the reasons you don't hear ads on any of the Podfeed podcasts is because of the fine people who have chosen to support our work here by going to Patreon. I've never done this before, but I'd like to make a quick thanks to the top 10 lifetime supporters of the shows. Thank you to Joop Brugink, Bob Lay, Daily Tech News Show, Mac Lurker, Doug Ingram, Tom Stewart, Richard Nelson, Steve Davidson, Brett Holly, and John Atwood. I can't thank you enough for your financial support and demonstrating so vividly that you find value in the podcast. If you'd like to become a patron like these fine folks, head on over to podfeed.com/Patreon. Okay, Steve, that was 30 seconds.
That's pretty good.
All right.
Let's see if Frank approves here.
Yeah.
He's typing away, so maybe he's going to weigh in on this pledge break.
All right. Copy link.
Yes, the famous Mr. Ed.
The famous Mr. Ed.
I like your face mask, Mr. Ed.
Oh, does he have a face mask on? Oh, nice.
Shoot.
All right. Tell Forbes, here comes his recording. His Everything's Fiddly. Oh, I'm going to have to do a lot of chapter marks to do that. I should have crammed them all into one article, shouldn't I have? Why did I do these separately? Okay, who did I say was first? First is Klaus. Okay. Oh, I don't need the blog post. I just need his audio. Klaus, here we go. See if this works.
Get ready, Forbes.
Over to podfeed.com/Patreon.
Everything is fiddly.
Everything.
Oh, too soon.
Well done, Forbes.
Everything is fiddly.
Everything is fiddly. Typically, this section only includes the end-user perspective, but today I wanted to tell you that things are fiddly for developers as well, or at least the hobbyist developer like myself. I maintain a Safari app extension called Open Access Helper, which helps you find legal open access copies for scientific articles. It works great on scientific publisher websites, but, sorry to disappoint, is not going to help you overcome the New York Times paywall, just in case you wondered.
Okay, I am going to keep going. I kind of like to have the user, their recordings. Okay. It's down there. Check it one more time.
It's fiddly.
Everything.
There we go. All right, that lets me go up here and record.
Mac App Store version and only in Catalina. I think this one qualifies as everything is fiddly.
Well, that's for sure, Klaus. Oh, how frustrating is that? You're following the rules, you're doing exactly what they're telling you to do, and that's why it doesn't work. Well, I haven't delved into writing Apple-specific apps, but from what I hear, their API documentation leaves an awful lot to be desired. All right, now we're gonna do who's next? Is it me next?
No, I think
I'm
it's
losing
Jill.
my mind. Is it Jill next?
I think so.
And I'm third? Okay.
Yep.
Well, I got to find the right window. There it is. Because now we're going to throw in another one. Let's see. And we're going to go here. We're going to go like this. And copy Jill. I probably should have done one. I think next time I'll do them all one after another. Oh, I know why I did it this way was because they actually wrote blog posts. So never mind. All right. Now where's Jill? Did Jill introduce herself? Documentation leaves an awful lot to be desired.
Hi, this is Jill from the North Woods. I've always been a math girl. The world makes sense in math. It has rules that you must follow. Logical, orderly. Everything fits inside those rules. But when it comes to writing, that is an art that has so many fiddly parts. I've never been a very good writer. So when it comes to doing show notes for my podcast, I struggle quite a bit to get them done. It takes a lot of time. And so the process that I go through when doing my show notes is first I record the podcast. Then I run it through Otter.ai, which does a fair job of translating what I'm saying. But there's a lot of fixing up that I need to do. So then the next step is I run the Otter document through Grammarly. Now, I love Grammarly because it helps me navigate all those weird rules that exist within writing and reduces my frustration in trying to get this Otter document into a usable show note format. As much as I love Grammarly and all the ways it helps me to get show notes out, I just wish that it would either allow you to choose settings about how you like to do commas or common fixes and how you see the rules. And then just have a button that goes through your text and absolutely makes those changes. There are things like placement of hyphens, placements of commas, capital letters, all those types of things that if I could just push one button, it would clear out 95% of the mistakes that Grammarly finds with the Otter.ai text, or fixing any grammatical mistakes I made while recording my podcast. But instead, Grammarly insists on asking you each step, each comma, if you want to change those over. Yeah, if the comma needs to be there, I want you to change the comma. If it's supposed to be a hyphen there, please put a hyphen there. Now, I completely understand asking me if they should try to rewrite one of my sentences, but commas, punctuations, and things that are grammatically incorrect? Don't even ask me. I trust you. Just make those changes for me. If the people at Grammarly could just make my life less fiddly by giving a do these things every time button, I would love them forever. But seriously, I really do love them. But don't tell them I love them, or they'll never give me my instant grammar fix button.
Okay, that's awesome,
Nice.
Jill. All right. I'm going to make a comment on that here.
Don't tell them I love them, or they'll never give me my instant grammar fix button.
Well, I love this, Jill, because I think of Grammarly as the your commas are all wrong tool. It seems that 90% of what it suggests are commas I've forgotten or commas I've put in that it says I shouldn't have used. My policy is to pretty much accept all of its comma changes. So like you, Jill, I probably just like a fix all button. However, I was taught that there should always be a comma right before a quote, and yet today Grammarly tried to get me to remove one. You know what else is fiddly here? I ran Grammarly on my comments to this very post, and it incorrectly told me to use TOO when the correct word was TO in one of my sentences. That happens all the time with Apple's built-in tools too. With all that said, both Jill and I rely heavily on Grammarly, and you definitely would notice far more mistakes in the blog post at podfeed.com if I didn't use it every single time I write an article. But even with that, I gotta tell you, Sandy still finds lots of mistakes when she proofreads for me too. Grammarly may be fiddly from time to time, but it's less fiddly than I am. Thanks a lot for playing our game, Jill. I hope it helped to get this off your chest.
Hey,
All right.
still getting this laggy, jittery delay. Can you check something for me? I'm getting an error on the output destination that I'm sending to my audio that I'm sending to you. Says output destinations has got performance issues. Could you toggle your input, my audio input? Just
Your
take it
audio
away
input
from,
to me?
Yeah, that's the error I'm getting. I don't know why it would cause a delay, but it's the only error I'm seeing right now.
So it says Steve is definitely clicking. When that, if it's clicking, that might be your USB interface.
Well, this is a Thunderbolt interface.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
You have a Shure
my mic?
MVI is USB.
Oh, correct.
I don't know if
Yes.
this would fix it, but you could try unplugging it and plugging it back in. Might
So
barf
who
and
mentioned
ruin
that I'm clicking? Okay, so Mike, are you listening on YouTube
Sandy's
or are you
hearing it
listening?
too.
So are you listening on YouTube or on Discord? That's important to know. Discord. Okay, I'm going to quit Discord and come back in. Sometimes that fixes it.
I'm not sure. I think that's what would do it. But all right. Putting in another chapter mark. it didn't start here, though.
Okay, I am back. Am I still clicking on
Are
Discord?
you still seeing the error?
I'm still seeing the error. No clicking, yeah. So Discord got its panties in a bunch.
Okay, but if
Tends
you're
to
seeing
do
that
that.
error, when I was seeing that error, it was on my end that was causing it.
Okay. So you're not laggy now.
So it's your audio input that's saying it's got the problem?
It says the output destination has performance
All of a sudden, I
issues.
don't
I'm
hear you at all. Your voice is gone.
You don't
are
hear-
flatline.
Do you hear me in Discord, folks?
You're gone.
Okay. How about now? Mimo Live got hung up.
That means the video feed probably died, doesn't it?
The video, it paused, but it's still active.
Ooh, I just heard you repeat.
I think it's catching up.
Oh, no, I'm here. Oh, okay. No, I've got you in both feeds. That's what's wrong. And they're
Yeah.
delayed by a lot.
So no clicking. I think we solved that problem.
Is the error gone?
It's still there. Well, it goes away until you exit out. So I'm going to exit out and see if it comes back.
Okay. It's 5:50. I need to keep recording.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Al, I lost your audio. Okay. Clicking
Is not-
again.
Okay.
So things are falling apart here. Your audio is back.
Okay. I am going to have to quit Hindenburg. I can't do anything with it. Uh-oh. I can't quit it. Have I got some window open? Come on here. No, I'm going to have to force quit. I hope this saved. Yeah, I'm going to have to force quit. Huh. That's nice. I'm about to do a session called, I'm going to do My Everything is Fiddly, and it's going to be entitled The Audio Edition. That's not it. That's not it. That's
Oh,
not
Al,
it.
we got the,
That's not
we
it.
have that feedback
That's
situation
not it.
again.
That's not it.
Al?
That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's not
We
it.
got the feedback
That's not it.
problem again.
That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's not.
There, it stopped whatever you did. Okay, so Allison is not feed. I don't hear any Allison. Oh, you still hear feedback, Ed? I'm not listening in Discord. Let me turn it. Oh, okay. Yes,
Did that
I
fix
do
it?
hear it.
Did that fix it? Did that
Nope.
fix it? Did that fix it?
Nope.
Did that fix it? 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 Did that fix it?
Al, it's still in Discord. I don't hear it in Mimo Live. I still hear it in Discord. Okay, that stopped. Okay, so yeah, she quit Discord. Hopefully, well, that would fix it. But the question is, can she get back in? No, it's still going. What? No, well, it stopped when you quit Discord, and then it came back when you came back to Discord. No, it's still going. It's a recording from before that is repeating. It's a loop. I don't know how this happens. It's capturing a snippet of your audio and looping it. Yes. Could it be loop back? It's back. Yeah, the chat room appreciates it. Okay, I hear you with no looping. Can you talk some more? Yes. It's kind of garbly, but it's not looping. How about now? You hear me and Mimo? I think loopback's getting a little buggy here. And with a name like this happened last time, or maybe the time ago, with a name like loopback, that's sure a good candidate for something like what we were hearing, which was a lot of looping. Sounds like we're crackling. At least I am. Okay, let me quit Discord. All right. So YouTube lost the audio. Interesting. Oh, you hear my audio now? Okay. Yeah, Discord, this sounds like a Discord crackle to me. I quit it twice and it's still there, so not quite sure what's going on. Yeah, really. So we have no audio on YouTube, only Discord. Yeah, all this time. Test. Oh, wait. It just came back. What happened? Why would the audio have just come back? Oh, I think it's just my audio that's on YouTube, not yours. So your audio is gone. So when I mute, there's basically no audio, but when I come off mute, I can hear myself on YouTube. I don't know. Well, if I'm not, so you're flatlined when you talk on Mimo. So I'm not getting audio into Mimo. Nope. Sorry, YouTube live audience and YouTube audience. Allison's audio is not working except on Discord. All right. Do you need a chapter mark? You put that in there. Did you do that for me? Jill knows. No, I think you keep it stay subscribed. Don't say stay followed. It just doesn't have the same. Right. Just that once was good. I think so. We have some more debugging to do. I thought we had this thing nailed. Okay. Well, you're crackly to me, so I'm not sure. Goodbye for those folks on YouTube. Allison just said goodbye, and see you next week.